What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of BookTube. I'm your host, Mr. Ahamad. Thank you so much for coming back to my classroom. It's always a pleasure to have you here and listen to me talk about books. Today, I'm here by myself to tell you about a book that was a lot of fun to read and that was really important to me because it helped me establish a relationship with a student that I did a lot of work with. That book is Leah on the Offbeat, and it's by Becky Albertalli. I really enjoyed this. Not only is the cover a lot of fun and it gives you some clues into the character that you will be reading about, or as rather, since it's in the first person. What I really enjoy about Albertalli's writing here for the character Leah is that the voice, the personality, the conflict, the decisions, they all feel so real. And I can say that because I work with so many teens, whether it be in the classroom or at the dance studio. I'm surrounded by teens, and they are strange beings. And Leah is a very strange being. As I read it, I was like, wow, how is it that Albertalli did this so well? Come to find out, when you flip to the back of the book, you get to that back flat, it says it right here. A former clinical psychologist who specialized in working with children and teens. So Albertalli is out here using her transferable skills, which I think is awesome because I always tell my students about transferable skills. You learn one thing in this subject, take it with you to the next, and you take it with you after that. So this is a testament to how important that is, and this is just wonderful to have. She really used all the knowledge that she had to tell a story about a girl who was establishing her identity, who felt like an outcast, who was going through bouts of depression, bouts with poverty, and acceptance, and in spite of all that, has found her own happy ending. Now, what's so cool about that is that the fact that this is in a book and the fact that it's so current and feels so real, it makes it accessible to a younger generation, so to kids right now, and it makes it accessible to people that are older than them. This provides everyone with a common ground for a conversation for a child or a teen, or even a young adult who is going through something that the older generation may not understand. Now, without giving anything away, I don't want to spoil anything, right? But when it comes to this question of identity within this book, the way that Leah chooses to identify herself is something that when I was growing up, all the way into like adulthood, it was very unfamiliar to me. I had no one to talk to about that. I had never seen anything like it, so it was foreign. But once I started working with kids and I've seen it all over the place, it was like, wow, I feel like I can't even relate to them. This book provided me with the means to establish an understanding so that I could eventually converse with these students, so that I can eventually put myself in a position to help these kids and to understand them. Now, I'm still very different from them, on so many different levels, but at the very least, now I can empathize. Now I can ask questions. Now I can hold a conversation and be within their company without being, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe inconsiderate or unintentionally insincere, something like that. Like it's really easy to offend people these days. And when you ask questions, you want to do so in a way that lets them know that you care. And if you don't ask it in the right way or use the right language, it can be very offensive. So this book really hooked me up in terms of that. Now, another thing, other than the cover, look at this cover. It's so colorful, I love it. Another thing about this book that's so good is that, Leah's not the typical lead character, and they play a lot on that, and that's awesome. So there's this body positive thing happening, and I love it because we need characters that come in all shapes and sizes. There's the whole idea of windows and mirrors, and we need that representation so that everyone can feel good about themselves and that everyone knows that they are worth something. It happens. Don't ever underestimate the power of being able to relate to something that's fictional. Don't ever. That's what my whole career is based on. Don't ever do it. It's important, right? You gotta see those things. You gotta be presented with that, because when a character that looks like you or is going through a similar situation as you, say things like you, when they succeed, that's when you know you can succeed. And yeah, you know, obviously they should have people in their real life that helps. But if they don't, the book is the way. The book is the thing that can establish that. That's why, man, I love books. They have a special place in my heart. And the event that you haven't noticed yet from when I put the cover up before, I'm gonna put it up again, right? Leah on the Offbeat is the sequel to Albertalli's Love, Simon. So if you know what Love, Simon is about, then you can get an idea of what this is about. Same characters, new story. What I enjoy so much about it, I watched Love, Simon, I didn't read the book, but with this book, because you already have a groundwork for those characters in that setting, it makes it easier to jump in and for things to happen. It's pretty enjoyable. With all that said, it would be difficult for me not to recommend Leah on the Offbeat. This is a really solid book. The dialogue is super funny, the characters feel super real, and if you want to learn more about today's generation, today's youth, like these kids coming up and what their issues are and some of the conflicts and struggles that they're dealing with in terms of identity and acceptance and the pressures they feel to have a great future and all that stuff, you know? Then this is it. Albertalli does a great job of writing, and it's definitely a story worth sharing.